The boathouse. This memory is just like reopening a painful memory that's only just started to scab over, but I can't stop myself. Maybe I need to relive it all one more time, or maybe I'm just a glutton for punishment. Anyway, here's the rest of what happened last summer vacation. Jake, my best friend since forever, asked me to spend the summer at his family's lake house. He's such a nice guy, always looking out for me, but he lacks that certain confidence, you know? We're both just turned 20 years old and attending the same college, both juniors and honors students. I was also a cheerleader with brown hair, and I thought it would be a fun, relaxing summer away from school. Little did I know, it would turn my world upside down. When we got to the lake house, I met the Admiral for the first time. He was a former Navy officer, and from the moment I laid eyes on him, I felt something strange. He was tall, with broad shoulders and these sharp features that made him look like he could cut through steel with his gaze. He was everything Jake wasn't: tough, curt, and so incredibly manly. I had to deny to myself each time I looked at him that I didn't feel anything at all. He was just my friend's dad. The first few days were normal. I helped Jake unpack, and we went swimming in the lake. But every time the Admiral was around, I found myself stealing glances at him. I tried to tell myself it was just curiosity, but deep down, I knew it was more than that. One day, I went to the well to get some water. As I was walking back, I heard the sound of an axe hitting wood. I peeked around the corner of the shed, and there he was, shirtless, chopping wood. His muscles rippled with every swing, and I felt my heart start to race. I was transfixed, and I couldn't tear my eyes away. Then, to my shock, he walked over to a nearby tree and relieved himself. I know I should have looked away, but I didn't. What I saw I will remember to this day. He was huge and massive. I had never seen anything like it, and I couldn't look away. I think my mouth was open because of the shock, and it was like something inside me snapped. That sight brought back a memory I had long buried. When I was a little girl, I walked into my parents' bathroom one day. I saw my mom on her knees, and there was something in her mouth, but I couldn't remember exactly what it was. Suddenly the Admiral, with his raw masculinity, made that hazy memory flood back, and it awakened a fire in me that I didn't even know existed. Some missing details of the memory started to come back, and I saw the picture in my mind for the first time. I shook my head and told myself to stop thinking about such things. I just ran away, and I even forgot the bucket of water. You can guess what happened that evening. I couldn't look at all at the Admiral during dinner. And on the bed I fantasized about the Admiral and me on my knees, all while touching myself in ways that I didn't try before. It was an image I couldn't erase. After that, I started to change the way I dressed around him. I wore my shortest skirts, the ones that barely covered my thighs. And I would find any excuse to, accidentally, touch him. A brush of the hand when passing a tool, a light tap on the arm when I laughed at one of his gruff comments. At first, he seemed indifferent, but I could sense his eyes on me when he thought I wasn't looking. One evening, I found a note on my pillow. It was written in messy handwriting. It simply said, "Meet me by the boathouse at midnight." I knew it was from him. Jake doesn't write me notes, and especially wouldn't dare ask me to do something not ladylike. My heart started pounding. I was both terrified and excited. I waited in my room, watching the clock, counting down the minutes. When the time finally came, I slipped out of the house, my heart in my throat. The boathouse was dark and quiet. I could hear the gentle lapping of the water against the shore. As I stepped inside, I saw him. He was leaning against the wall, and the moonlight streaming in through the cracks in the boards cast an eerie glow on his face. He didn't say a word, just reached out his hand. I walked over to him, and when I took his hand, it was like a shock of electricity shot through me. His hands were rough, calloused from years of hard work. He pulled me close, and I could feel the heat radiating off his body. His hands started to roam, first up my arms, then to my waist. I whimpered, "Mister, He ignored me and gripped me tightly, and I let out a little gasp. I should have pushed him away. I knew it was wrong, but I didn't. His hands moved up to the hem of my blouse, and he started to slowly unbutton it. One by one, the buttons came undone, and I felt the cool night air on my skin. I was trembling, but whether from fear or desire, I couldn't tell. Just as things were getting more intense, we heard a noise outside. Jake's voice called out, "Amy? Amy?" Panic filled me. The Admiral quickly buttoned my blouse, and we stayed silent, holding our breath. Jake called out a few more times, but eventually, his footsteps faded away. That night, we didn't go any further, but the tension between us had reached a boiling point. Over the next few days, the stolen glances, the secret touches continued. Each encounter made the desire between us stronger. One afternoon, while Jake was out fishing, the Admiral found me in the kitchen. He cornered me against the counter, and his lips were on mine before I could even think. It was a rough, passionate kiss, and I kissed him back with all the pent-up longing I had been feeling. His hands were all over me, pulling at my skirt, tugging at my stockings. I wrapped my arms around his neck, lost in the moment. But then, we heard the sound of the boat motor in the distance. Jake was coming back. We broke apart, both of us breathing heavily. I fixed my clothes as quickly as I could, my cheeks burning with shame and arousal. The worst encounter happened on a sunny morning. Jake had gone into town to get some supplies. Jake wanted me to come with him, but I made an excuse about a belly ache. I was alone in the house with the Admiral. The wind gently blew outside, and the birds were out. I was in the living room, curled up on the couch when he walked in. He didn't say anything, just sat down next to me and pulled me onto his lap. He told me I was a good girl and not to worry about anything. He said he would take care of me. I could feel a hardness rising from under me. It made me think of me spying on him in the forest. The image I still have not forgotten. The curiosity that was eating me alive. Now hands were everywhere, slowly peeling off my clothes. My dress was soon in tatters on the floor. I was bare before him and I felt so exposed, yet so wanted. He stood me up and said he wanted to look at me. He said to turn around and to put my hands above my head. I couldn't help but obey. He then told me to get on my knees, and that image of my mom raced back into my head. Oh my God, could this be happening? He stood up and started to undo his belt and pants. I was exploding with anticipation. He pulled out a massive thing, much bigger than I had seen in the woods. It was semi-hard and throbbing. I wanted it to touch me. He said, "Open your mouth." I obeyed and suddenly I was tasting something that I will never forget. He kept getting larger and harder in my mouth, my lips were stretching to their breaking point. He started a rhythm and grabbed my ponytail and forced deeper into me. I felt like choking when suddenly it happened. A shot so hard to the back of my throat. It shot me over and over and he held me pinned onto his body and I couldn't move my head away. The flavor was something I had never tasted before, but because it was his, I savored it. He fell backward onto the couch with a sigh and I stayed on my knees not knowing what to do. He threw me a swimming towel that was on the couch and told me to clean up. I did. Then he grabbed me and held me close to his chest. I never felt so close to anyone in my entire life. That old memory and my life experience finally had merged into one and I felt like I had a vision that made all my life make sense. Belonging to a man like the Admiral, I mean giving yourself fully to him and his desires, made me feel complete. His pants were still at his knees and I could see his thing twitching. He started to caress my breasts and pinch me until I squealed. I sounded like a tiny little doll and his big hands drew me tighter to his body. Now I looked down and he had transformed to his animal self again, huge and stiff. I wanted to open my mouth again, but he suddenly lifted me up like I weighed nothing and flipped me over. He put me face down over the armrest of the couch. I yelled, "Please don't do this," and at the moment had no idea why I said that because I meant the opposite. I wanted him to do what he wanted to me. His hardness pressed against me, and I knew what was about to happen. He was forceful, pushing me down onto the couch, his body covering mine. His hands explored every inch of me, kneading my breasts and I arched my back, surrendering to the sensations. He pushed in but it wouldn't penetrate at first. He pushed again and I screamed with pain. He pushed a third time and it entered with a pop. I could feel him fill me up and could not believe I could take something of this size inside me. He grabbed my shoulders and started to pull me into him. Each thrust made me gush with wetness and I felt wetter than I ever was before. He started to increase the speed and I could feel a pressure welling up inside me. The pressure kept building and then he grabbed my ponytail and yanked me over and over again and something exploded down there. It was the first time I had ever experienced anything like this. I couldn't process if this was pleasure or pain, but it made me delirious. He continued and then the pressure came again, and again. It was cloud 9 and more. He then grunted loudly and exploded inside of me with a force that I can't describe inside me. It was like small bombs were going off inside me. I felt extreme wetness and as he moved the wetness started to streak down my legs. I was in heaven, all the thoughts in my head were gone. All I could feel was complete surrender. I would do anything for this man, this thing. I would allow him to do anything to me and it made me feel complete. A few days later, I found another note. This one was hidden in my copy of Gone with the Wind, a book I'd brought to read during the lazy afternoons. The note read, "Meet me in the old barn at sunset. Come alone." My hands trembled as I read the words. I knew I should have ignored it, but I couldn't. The thought of seeing him again, of feeling his hands on me, was too much to resist. Jake was suspicious. I think he could see me the way I would look at the Admiral. He tried not to leave my side, like he wanted to protect me. But all I wanted to do was make Jake go away. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, I told Jake to start dinner and I made my way to the old barn. It was a rickety structure on the edge of the property, filled with old farming equipment and hay bales. When I entered, the smell of hay and old wood filled my nostrils. The Admiral was already there, sitting on a hay bale, his eyes fixed on the door. As soon as he saw me, he stood up, and in a few long strides, he was in front of me. Without a word, his hands cupped my face, and his lips crashed down on mine. It was a kiss filled with pent-up frustration and desire. His tongue forced its way into my mouth, exploring every corner. I could taste the tobacco on his breath, a strange yet intoxicating flavor. His hands moved from my face down to my back, pulling me so close that I could feel the hardness of his body against mine. He walked me backward until my back hit a wooden post. His hands roamed down my body, grabbing my hips roughly. I let out a small moan as his fingers dug into my flesh. He reached down and lifted my skirt, his fingers brushing against the inside of my thighs. I was wearing a pair of lacy white panties, a purchase I'd made on a whim before coming to the lake house. He traced the edge of the fabric with his finger, sending shivers up my spine. His strong hands then grabbed the panties and in one quick jerk tore the panties clean off my body. I was in shock as I saw the panties hit the ground. He lifted me up with one hand on my buttocks and then with the other started to pull down his sweatpants. He was already throbbing. The mass rubbing against my slit. I gushed wetness, like giving permission to his thing, but he didn't need permission. He was going to take me any way he wanted. He rubbed my slit with his fingers and showed me how what I had become, then lowered me onto his stiffness. It was very painful, the slow advance into my body, each inch was shocking pain up my spine. I bit on my fist trying to stop my panic, but he kept going. He said, "You're doing good, you're all good." Once completely inside me I felt like I was filled up so much that I opened my mouth wide with a silent scream. He bounced me slowly up and down and he put his tongue into my ear and I climaxed with a huge bang. This time my scream wasn't silent. He kept going, so assertively, so dominant, so selfish. He was taking me completely as I was suspended above the ground. He finished so fast this time with a big grunt and again the power hitting my insides. I could hear the drippings hitting the ground. I was breathing so heavily and so was he. I kissed him with all my love and my soul and he kissed me deeply. He kept me suspended there for another minute, still inside me until he slipped out, with more drippings hitting the ground. He told me to grab my panties from the ground and to get out of there. I ran away to hide my shame but I couldn't help smiling the whole way back. The next encounter was unexpected. I was taking a bath one evening, the warm water soothing my tense muscles. The bathroom door was slightly ajar, and I was lost in thought, thinking about the Admiral. Suddenly, I heard a soft creak, and when I looked up, there he was, standing in the doorway. I let out a small yelp and tried to cover myself with my arms. He just stood there, his eyes raking over my body. "I want to look at you," he said in a low, husky voice. I was too stunned to speak. He walked over to the bathtub and knelt down beside it. His hand reached out and touched the water, then he slowly moved his hand up my leg, sending a jolt of electricity through me. I should have told him to leave, but instead, I just stared at him, my heart pounding in my chest. His hand continued to move up my leg, past my knee, and towards my inner thigh. I felt a flush spread across my face as his fingers inched closer to the most intimate part of me. Just then, we heard footsteps in the hallway. The Admiral quickly stood up and disappeared out the door. A few seconds later, Jake knocked on the bathroom door. "Amy, are you almost done? I need to use the sink." I took a deep breath and replied, "Almost, Jake. Just a few more minutes." The final and most intense encounter happened on a night when Jake had gone to a party in town. He was going to stay overnight at a friend's house, so I knew we had the whole night to ourselves. I was sitting in the living room, waiting for the Admiral, when I heard a knock on the door. My heart skipped a beat. I opened the door, and there he was, looking more handsome and dangerous than ever. He stepped inside and closed the door behind him. Without any preamble, he grabbed me and kissed me hard. His hands were all over me, pulling at my clothes. My dress was quickly discarded on the floor, and I was left in my slip. He lifted me up in his arms and carried me to the couch. He laid me down and stood over me, looking at me with an intensity that made me squirm. He removed his shirt, revealing his muscular chest. I reached out and ran my hands over his skin, feeling the roughness of his scars and the smoothness of his muscles. He then removed his pants, and I could see the outline of his giant hardness through his underwear. He climbed on top of me, his body pressing mine into the soft cushions of the couch. His hands moved down to my slip, and he slowly pulled it up over my head. I was completely naked beneath him, and I felt a mixture of fear and excitement. He started to kiss my neck, then moved down to my breasts, taking one nipple in his mouth and sucking hard. I arched my back, moaning softly. His hands explored every inch of my body, sending waves of pleasure through me. He positioned himself between my legs, and I could feel the tip of his massive hardness against me. I was both dreading and longing for what was about to happen. With one powerful thrust, he entered me. I let out a cry, a mixture of pain and ecstasy. He began to move, slowly at first, then faster and faster. His hands held my hips tightly, guiding me as he ravaged me. I wrapped my legs around his waist, pulling him deeper inside me. I could feel the sweat on his back as our bodies moved in rhythm. He was rough, taking me in a way that I had never been taken before. I bit my lip, trying to hold back my moans, but it was useless. The pleasure was too intense. My mind was racing with feelings of pleasure and love. He was my lover and I was his plaything. I loved the idea of this. In the heat of the moment, he released a torrent inside me, and I felt a wave of warmth wash over me. We lay there for almost an hour, both of us caressing each other. I loved him so completely that I felt I could die right there. In fact, I strangely wanted to, both of us in eternity together. The next morning, I woke up early. I went downstairs to start breakfast and Jake was there to greet me. He said, "Don't make too many eggs, it's just you and me now." I was in shock. It couldn't be. Then he told me. The Admiral had been called into duty to Manila for the rest of the summer. The call came late at night and he didn't want to bother our sleep. Jake handed over the note with the Admiral's news and instructions for painting the boathouse over the summer. Jake could see the tears on my face and I had to hide myself, so I ran back upstairs. That was really the last I heard of the Admiral. The following wreckage of my heart took a long time to get over and I guess I'm still not over it. But am I glad about what happened? No, not anymore, and I hope this can serve as a warning to other young gals out there, letting your thoughts get the best of you. Just don't do it.